All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking your night out and getting to learn from Yura. All right, so before we start, I have a few ground rules here. So everybody just remain on mute, but I will be monitoring the chat. And I will ask Yura the questions that you write in the chat. And so then he can respond at the end of each section so that we can help him with the flow. Also, one quick note, if you're on your mobile phone, swipe left to see his screen share. Otherwise, you'll just see his face and you won't see what he's talking about.
So there is no screen share yet, but it will be soon.
Yes. All right, and Yura was so awesome at leadership. There wasn't enough time to learn from him. So we are so excited. Thank you so much, Yura.
Thanks, Ro. So welcome everybody. The goal tonight is just to share with you the back office and I guess focusing hopefully on the bits that you might have had less exposure to, or some of you might have had less exposure to. I figure if you're on this call, you've probably already worked out how to shop. So I'm not going to focus on helping you to shop tonight, but we'll focus on the dashboard and the team tab and the what's it called, the business groups tab. So without further ado, and just before I go any further, we did sort of try and weigh up whether we use doTERRA's test account, which doesn't really have very much data in it, or whether we use my real live data. And for the benefit of you, so you're kind of seeing what a system looks like live, we've gone with my real live data. I'm going to try and avoid showing private data as much as I can in terms of other people's names. So, you know, I'm happy with showing my tree and you know, our income information, that sort of stuff. But you know, I haven't gone and asked every single person in our 6,000 people team. So I'm going to try and avoid exposing very much of their data. And I'd just ask if you can kind of respect the fact that that this is private information, and so kind of do the learning, but not taking screenshots of private data. So without further ado, I will share the back office. So hopefully you're looking at the back office on the shop tab. We're all seeing that? Nodding heads, yep, good. And we've decided tonight that we're going to use the new responsive back office, which is much prettier and nicer screen layouts, and which works much better on mobiles, which is very cool if you use the back office on your mobile. So I'll click on use the new responsive back office. And just so you know, if you're ever in the new responsive back office and you want to get out, you come back to the shop tab and there's a return to old back office button here. So, but we're going to start at the dashboard. And so we go up to the menu at the top here, and then we come down to the drop down menu and click on dashboard. And it doesn't do it. which I found earlier tonight. It seems to take a couple of clicks sometimes. I don't know why. All right, now it's playing the game. All right. So I'm just going to focus on the main things that are useful to you doing the business, and so the dashboard is somewhere that I visit every day, as is the team tab, and this qualification section is really useful. It's useful within the month to kind of see, all right, where am I up to? And you can see that at the moment our where are we up to rank is gold. We would like to be, our pin rank is blue diamond. But the last time we hit blue diamond was in November. So we've been paid diamond all the other months since then. And the month that we're shooting for, the rank we're shooting for this month is diamond. And we've got 1 silver. So we've got 3 more silvers to get. And I was looking today, and we're pretty close. It's only little bits here and there. So it will be diamond before the end of the month. And if I want to see who that silver is, I just click on qualified leg, and it tells me that Miss Carly Grandage is my silver, who's already done her work. So that's really useful. It's also useful for going back to last month, and particularly when you're coming up to the commissions being run, and even early in the month after a month's closed. So after July closed, the first few days when you're likely to be getting any product returns, and you want to make sure that those product returns, when they're processed back into last month, if they relate to an order that was in last month, that they don't come out of last month's volume and mess up your rank. So it's always good to be coming in here, particularly early in the month, and then again when you're getting to about the 12th to the 15th, keeping an eagle eye on it every single day to make sure that, again, that something isn't sent back and you don't drop rank. So you can see last month we were diamond, and there were our 4 silvers, and down here we got our power of 3 at the 250 level. If I go back to the current month, I don't know why that's kind of hanging over the top of that. It hasn't got a close thing on it, but anyway, c'est la vie. Part of beta systems, I guess. So if we want to go into power of 3 to see where it is this month, at the moment we usually get to level 2 power of 3. So what I'm looking for is that to be blacked out like that is. So I can go into here. I usually choose filtered detail, which filters out all the legs and accounts that kind of just don't have any LRP at all. And the filtered detail just shows you, the people that do play the LRP game, so you can more clearly see what's going on. So when somebody has the doTERRA O on their chest, that means that their team volume has reached the 600. So that's us sitting at the top, Sycamore Wellbeing.
Come on. Come on.
And when somebody's purple, it means that their order has processed. So you can see that one has an LRP volume of 125.5. So their order has gone through and they have the LRP volume. And when somebody is blue, it means that their LRP hasn't fully processed. So you can see there's a bit of BOGO volume in there, but the main LRP for the month hasn't processed yet, so it's blue. And if it was white, that would mean that that it's not going to make it this month. So in terms of us getting level 2 power of 3, you can see we're in good shape here. We've got a team volume, and we've got 3 purple soldiers. So that person's got it. We got an O on that chest, and we got 4 purples on the second level. And it'll be this one, once that LRP processes later in the month, that will kick over and give us second level power of 3. So this is where you come in to track your power of 3 intra-month, and it's good to kind of come in around the middle of the month and see where you're at, and then know who you've got to talk to, or a mind, or all of that sort of thing. So we'll go back out. Is that pretty clear? Has anybody got any questions on LRP? No, nothing so far, Ro? No, good. Okay.
Yura, excuse me, I didn't unblock myself. I have trouble going in and out of it all the time. Every time I go into the new one, it kicks me back, and then I've got to go back in again.
That into the power of 3?
No. The new back office. Like, I have to go back in and use the old screens because it keeps kicking me off.
Okay. I would call member services about that one. There are some tricks with the new office. It took me a little bit to get it functioning right too.
All right. Okay.
But,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, Vera, we do have another question here.
Yep.
It says, does the qualified value only mean that it has to be over 125 PV only? So the non-qualified if it's under 125 PV? I think they're talking about the power of 3.
So 125 doesn't really come into power of 3. So if we go back to filtered detail, just a second while that loads. So the qualifications are each one of the 4 who are going to be part of a power of 3 structure. So that's us. That will be one of ours. That will be one of ours, and this will be one of ours once it's gone and processed. And so each of these 4 need 100 points, and then between the 4 of us, we need 600 points. And once we've got 600 points, the person at the top of that 600 point triangle or pyramid, God forbid, gets the little O. So once you've got the little O on your chest, you know that person and the 3 under them have, and potentially other people on that front line. So if us and these 3 people only had 500, but then this one and this one and this one topped it up to 600, then we're good. Everybody clear on that? Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. We might head on down to commissions. And okay, this is a little bit different to what I'm used to, because normally there's the little underline thing here that you can click on, but they'll presumably be, can't click into that. So you can click onto the graph points. So if I hover over last month's commission report and click on that, actually what that's actually done, can you see the bottom of my screen? It's actually downloaded the PDF. Now I'll actually open that PDF, but I'm not sure whether you'll see it. Are you seeing that PDF? Yep. Okay. All right. So this is a good time to explain GQV and GCV. So these are really important measures in your business. We tend to focus on OV a lot in the business, and you know, OV is your overall volume, so that's the PV of you and every single person in your team. And the bigger your tree goes, and once it gets beyond 7 levels and gets on, you know, to 20 and 25 and beyond that, you won't actually get paid on all of your OV. So as we know, uni-level works on 7 payments being paid upwards from the volume. It gets depicted in the compensation plan as kind of a level 1 payment, as if level 1 is under you and level 2 is the second level under you, which is actually not how it works thanks to dynamic compression. Tonight's not a dynamic compression lesson. there are many videos, including one that PJ and I did on dynamic compression. But the point is, you need to start keeping an eye on GQV and GCV the more your business grows, because those are what you're getting paid on. So your GCV is what you actually get paid uni level on, and it stands for gross commissionable volume. And so that is what actually generates your uni level. The GQV is that plus the volume from people that were paid fast start and that are within their first 60 days, who otherwise would have been paid uni level. So it's not all of your fast start people, because fast start people that are down deeper in your tree beyond your commissionable level, and who, had they been outside their 60 days, would have fallen into your uni level. They get included in GQV, but the people who would have fallen outside, they don't get included. So So if your entire team is in the same country as you, the only difference between GQV and GCV is the OV primarily of the people who get fast start. Though there are differences on some products between GQV and GCV. So, for example, the Nature Solutions kit has a different commissionable volume than the PV. So you actually get a higher commissionable volume by a significant margin, actually. It's actually good to enroll with Nature Solutions kits. But so you can get differences between PV and CV. But generally on most products and most kits, it's the same. But you will find that as you get an international team, that GQV and GCV goes just crazy. And particularly if you've got any Korean people, because the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Korean won is about 1,000 to 1. So you get one Korean customer and it completely messes up your GCV. So GCV as a total, when you come all the way down to the bottom of the report, the second last page, there we go. So there's the totals here. And then here's the bottom of the uni level section. The GQV is something I keep in my spreadsheet because it is a reliable number. It's basically the part of my OV that I'm getting paid on. Whereas the GCV, because it gets thrown out by exchange rates. Since we went international, I no longer record it in my spreadsheet. So. But this report is really useful to come into, and you know it gives you all of your summaries of all the aspects of your commissions, your uni level, your Power of 3 bonus, your pools, and the different types of pools that you're getting. So I am going to close that PDF. I think that's probably all I need to cover off within that PDF. Oh, and I guess the other thing to remember is that this is about the only element of your back office that you can get to that is older than 3 months. So basically the back office gives you 3 months data for almost everything, but you can go back to your commission reports I think basically forever. We've been in 4.5 years and we can get to all of our early ones. So I'm going to actually switch out of the new back office for a minute to get to the old back office to just show you some more things that I know how to get to.
Hey, Yura, sorry to interrupt you. Might sound like a very silly question to you, but why would you track that figure? Is it just so that you can look back and watch the growth? I'm not a very good tracker, so I'm wondering if it's something because it's in you.
It's really so that I can understand what's going on in my business long term, and so that I can understand, you know, because you can kind of look at your OV and think, well, my income should be going up because my OV is going up, but if the OV is going up because you got some diamonds on about level 12, then you're probably not going to be seeing a lot of that income flow into your uni level unless you don't yet have a lot of premiers or silvers and it's getting compressed up to you. But you know, when we kind of hit the slowdown that happened, you know, countrywide in September 2017, I was so glad for every piece of data that I'd kept, because it allowed me to come back and look at what on earth was going on in my business and what was changing and to understand it. And if we don't have that data to go back to, you know, it can be hard to understand what's going on in our business.
Amazing, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'll click on the commission summary here. How are we going for time? 20 minutes in. So this takes us into our monthly payment, our primary bonus, and you can see month by month here. And if we wanted to go back and see last year, we could click 2018. And it takes us from the beginning of 18 and continues on all the way to the present. And it should still be, we started in 15. Yep. So you can see the commissions all the way, and so to click into a particular month, you just click on the month at the left-hand side, which you can see is in a bolded text. So I find this is a useful place to come to kind of track the components of my income without having to open the PDF. And as anybody who tries to open the PDFs realises, every now and again, about maybe 1 in every 5 or 6 PDFs, they won't open, and you've got to call your account manager to get that fixed so that it will open. So this screen is useful for that. But the other thing I find this screen really useful for is down here is all of the information on the uni level, but in one continuous table. So I can, if I want to know how many people I earn my uni level off, I can just click down and highlight that table and drag it all the way to the bottom. Yep. And then do a Command C on my Apple and paste that into a spreadsheet. And then I can sort that spreadsheet by the right-hand column there, which is the amount of uni level that we're getting paid. And it includes the lines for the fast start people, which are 0. So I can then sort by that, and then I'll know exactly how many are part of my GCV and how many were part of my my fast start people. So that's a good way of measuring how many customers is it that's actually generating my income in a month, and tracking that so that you can see that. I found some of this information really helpful the last few months, because I've been able to track, as our volumes have kind of been going down a bit across the country, I've been able to say, well, how much of that is less orders, less people ordering, and how much of that is actually the volume that they're ordering. And I've been able to track, therefore, that, oh, okay, that's not so bad, because only about a third of the drop is a reduced number of people ordering, and about 2/3 of the drop has been less dollars per order. And that suggests to me maybe a couple of things. Maybe economically difficult times, which we know in the economy at the moment it is, and B, also that when LLV went offline last year, that maybe not everybody's come back on yet. So we've got to do the job of getting those people back onto LLV. So this is the kind of value of tracking this stuff, is you can understand what's going on in your business and you can action it because you understand it. So that's probably most of what you need to know in commissions. And no more questions in that area, Ro? No. Okay. Just a really quick tip. If you're in that space between about the 15th of the month and the 16th, 17th of the month, and you want to know what your commissions are, if you click on Account Inquiry and you come into your last month and scroll down to the bottom, it shows up here about 1.5 to 2 days ahead of when the reports are ready for you and before your graphs are updated. So if you're wanting to know what you earned a couple of days early, just come into your account inquiry. I'll go back to the shop and switch us back into the responsive back office. And we might move now to the team tab. Okay. So you can see here that, the pieces that we tend to track day to day, our OV, making sure our PV is in there, and that we've got 100 PV. One other point I would make here is for anybody who's building, to support your relationship with your upline, and to educate your own downline. The sooner you can place your 100-point order in the month, the better off everybody is, because until you have placed your 100-point order, if we go back to the dashboard and try it again, the qualifications section here will show you as a consultant. So you could have 200,000 OV, you could have 6 diamonds in your team, and you'll still be a consultant until you've processed your 100-point order. So it is best when you're part of a business for your benefit, so you can see what's going on in your team, and for your upline's benefit, so they can see what's going on with their own rank. It helps everybody's dashboard work more quickly, and it's one of the reasons why I'm currently showing gold. We'll get to diamond this month easily, but there are orders that haven't gone through. So PJ and I normally process our at least 100-point order within the first 2 to 3 days of a month. So you've got these bits that we kind of watch like a hawk day to day, and we should be watching our OV every day, and keeping a sense of where is it normally this month, and is it tracking okay. We've got the total number of people in the tree, which was over 6,000 yesterday, so it was another cleanup done yesterday of inactive accounts. This rank Premier and above is a cool thing. And
can you put this back on just for
sounds like we've got some unmuting somewhere.
No, it's fine. Go to bed, please. You don't need a breath. It takes 2 seconds.
So you can see there's a graphical tree here that you can pull up that is only premiers and above, which the higher your rank gets, the more useful this gets, because it's kind of a way of looking at where are the people at, given that you're at a high rank that you're mostly ranking off, and it kind of bumps them up. So this is showing that everybody's on our front line, but those are not all on our front line. So it kind of eliminates everybody that isn't Premier and above from the visual. And you can click that and go down to the 9 levels. And so it kind of gives you a little bit of a more concise vision of your tree. But we'll go back to the team tab. So we've got the number of people by rank, and I actually don't find that useful, because I guess I'm mostly interested in, are we building people from kind of these levels up, and they just become a tiny sliver. And yeah, so that's that. I actually don't use that one a lot. This one shows you your wholesale customers versus your wellness advocates, which is interesting to know. And obviously wholesale customers become a much bigger trend, and a lot of us are starting our people off as wholesale customers to give us that flexibility for the move after 90 days. I do find the levels and organisations something interesting to track, because ultimately, like in the build guide, where it shows that you know, if you follow the power of 3 structure, by the time you get to level 7, and if you've got a complete power of 3 structure, you'll have like about 2,700 people on level 7. So a good thing to watch is that you're getting that kind of tripling effect with each level, which clearly we're not yet. So when we started in doTERRA, the focus in Australia here at least tended to be more towards depth and rank, and so we built more towards depth and rank. So you can see we're not kind of going out in that tripling thing yet, but I think the vast majority of Australia now has come back and is at least trying to learn to pay more attention to power of 3, because it is such an important part of our income, and it does help build width, and width is profit. So basically depth in a business like ours is security. So if you've got some more volume down there, that will help you hold rank when you hit difficult months. But for uni level, following that power of 3 structure and getting that tripling effect is going to give you much more income long term. So that's a good kind of way to track that. And in my spreadsheet, I kind of track down to level 9 in the detail, and then I track the 10 and above as well. You've got your view here by country, and if you actually want to see who's in that, you can actually, I don't know whether you realise, but you can actually click through. So I can click on the France line, and it will actually take me into a list of my French people. So so that can be really helpful. We might duck now into the detailed genealogy, because detailed genealogy is probably the most important part of your back office, in my opinion. It's wonderfully flexible, and it's an incredible tool. So I'll just scroll the bottom of that window up for a minute to reduce the amount of information that I'm showing about people in my tree. So basically this gives you an enormous amount of information, and it gives you, for the last 3 months, the PV and the OV for everybody in your organisation, or for selected groups of people in your organisation. So one kind of cool thing about this is, if you want to know where's a list of the people I've enrolled, you can change this from level 0 to level 1, and instead of sponsor tree, choose enroller tree, and then update the report. And you can see that's now giving me the 114 people that we've personally enrolled who are still active. We've actually done about 158 at the end of last month, but not all of those are still active, so some of them have fallen off. But that's the 114 personal enrolments who are still active in our tree. So that's, if you want to know who are my personal enrolments, that's a great way to get to it. So I normally make sure, I think by default when you first come in, this is set to either 7 or 9 levels. I think it might be 9, but I normally set it to 99, and then save that as my default. So if you make any changes in here, if there's a particular way you'd like to see the report, and if there's particular columns you want in, you can go in and you can play with the columns, and then you can save the default, and then it will always be like that when you come in. So that's a really helpful feature. So here's all the columns you can have. So here's the columns I've actually got displayed at the moment. So I've taken a whole bunch of information out for tonight's presentation, so that I'm not giving away people's phone numbers and addresses and details of who their enroll were. And so I've got everything in the left-hand column pretty much that I can. But if I wanted to add the town in, I can just click the town, and I can click the move right button over into display it, and you can see it's come over here. And then I can say, no, I want that up next to the name, so I can move that line up to next to the name, and then I can hit update report. And it can choke, and I'll hit screen refresh. There we go. So now we've got our towns for the people. So what I find really useful in this, one thing for a start is being able to go in and see the details of what people in your team have ordered. So if you want to know what was in that 12.5 PV there, it's actually clickable. And so we can go into there and it's showing you that 12.5 PV came from order number 670-44219, and I can click on that and it'll take me in and I can see it was the lemon essential oil. So that's a really good way to kind of, if somebody's asking you what's going on with my order, or if you want to go and look at the detail, you can pull up any order of anybody in your team in that screen. So that's kind of really useful. But what I find the most useful is looking at the PV for a month. So if we click on any of these column headings, it will sort by that column heading. So if we click on the PV for June, and it'll sort it one way, and then if you don't like the way it's sorted it from high to low. So if you don't want it that way, you can just click on it again, and it'll sort from the blanks to then up to the maximum down the other end of the port. But I'll change it back so it's from max to min. And what I like doing with this is I like seeing how many people have ordered, have got more than one PV in a month. So how many people have an order? And I know that it normally finishes somewhere between about 1,800 people and about 2,400 people in a massive month like November was last year. So last month, July, if I remember correctly, we were still going at the 1,800 level. And if I scroll down to the bottom, it cuts out just a few lines from the bottom. So it's like 1,790 something. And normally I would just count that in that situation. Or if it's about halfway down the 200 records, then I just highlight either the ones that match or the ones that don't. And so for here, I could just highlight those rows, dump them in a spreadsheet, and then count the rows. And the other thing I like to do is I like to see, I consider people ordering over 100 PV as a measure of people who are engaged with the lifestyle. They're interested in making a little bit of money, but presumably they're also engaged with the lifestyle at that level. And so it's a test of, out of all my people who are ordering, how many have really engaged with the lifestyle. And if I remember correctly, that was near the bottom of the page, of the 800 page. So, no, about, there it is, there's the cut. So there's our last 100-point order. And so I can either count the ones above 100 or the ones below 100 and deduct them off the 800 or add them to the 600. So but that lets you kind of look at your data that way. So, you can also...
People are having questions about the red circles with lines through them on the detailed genealogy.
I'm wondering what they mean.
I think they're meaning their retail customers.
Not actually seeing them.
I'm not seeing them right here either.
Go back to the... Or maybe it was down in the end of the...
I think you're looking at your enrollment. That's why. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's retail volume included in sponsor total.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with retail orders, it won't actually show on the line for the retail person. It actually counts retail orders, bump up and count as part of the PV of the person that they're under, the sponsor for the retail account. Good question. So you can copy both. If you copy headings into a spreadsheet and data, it'll actually sit well, and it creates the columns correctly. And then once you've got your columns, when you go onto your second page to copy your data, you can just copy your data and paste that into the spreadsheet below the last line of data from the previous page. There is a lot of data for those of us who've got teams of 6,000 people, etc. But there is a guy called Nathan Jass who has a back office toolkit that has been approved by corporate. It took him about 18 months of negotiation to get IT to sign off on it. But he actually has a tool that lets you export in a single step your entire detailed genealogy into a spreadsheet. And he's also got a rank tracker that does a little bit more than the built-in rank tracker in the back office. Striking distance, I tend not to use. PJ's a bit of a fan of it. It bothers me that it's it's kind of not an accurate thing from somebody who's a bean counter background. I don't know how you can assign a percentages to kind of intangible things like some of the more complex rank structures, but it gives you a sense of how close people are to a rank, and this is showing how close people are to the rank of elite, and we could change that to premier. Like I said, I'm probably not the right person to spend a lot of time describing this to you because I really don't get excited by it. I tend to prefer either detailed genealogy or the business groups. The rank tracker. It's a wonderful tool. We haven't got time to play around with it a lot tonight, but it allows you to look very quickly and see how you're shaping up for the month, and once the orders that are LRPs that are set to go, how close will that get you? It's a terrific tool if you're at the kind of elite, premier, silver kind of levels. Once you get to multiple levels that rank off a level that ranks off another level, you have to spend a fair bit of time building it, and every time you leave the screen, it forgets all that building you did. So at the moment, so hopefully IT in the future might build a version that retains our structure once we build it, and maybe retains potentially multiple structures if we've got multiple qualifiers who we're able to rank off. It's a wonderful thing, and it's terrific for for people anywhere from kind of elite through to silver. But personally, I find at Blue Diamond and even in managing paid diamonds some months, it can be a lot easier to use my business groups. So if we go to business groups, this is actually an optional part of. Now again, I'll just crib up that bottom window so I'm not showing too much. This is actually an optional part of your back office, and I think it's US $11.95 or something like that it costs you a month to enable it, and that's not doTERRA, that's InfoTrax, who are the software provider of the original back office, and so it gives you some extra reports that you can design. And you can't actually control the columns in your business groups. The columns are what the columns are. So if that works for you, that's good. If it doesn't work for you, then use detailed genealogy where you can choose your own columns. but I find it terrific for my rank tracking. So I've got a group down here called Rank Tracker, and in that group I've saved the people who are, in terms of our Blue Diamond, who are our golds or above, and who are their premiers or above, and then who are the people who are the premiers executives and above. And so it gives me that person's name and wellness advocate number. It gives me their PV to make sure that so I can look and say, yes, they're definitely over 100. Excellent. So I will be able to rank on them, or my leader will be able to rank on them. And that I can see their OV, so I can put that into my rank tracking spreadsheet and see whether they're qualifying or whether they've got a gap still to run. So in terms of how so there's a couple of ways that you can build reports in here. One is you can just create a report that has people added to it. So that's like your watch list. Your watch list, you actually add people to it. You do that by clicking on a person, and hopefully that's going to work fairly quickly. Yep, okay, so I've clicked on Jade, and you can see here it says add to business groups. So if I click add to business groups, it gives me, and this isn't particularly neat in the new beta version of the Backoffice. I might let IT know that that's one that maybe needs a bit of work. It's a nice, neat table in the old Backoffice, but it gives you the reports that you've got, and so you can see here the way I add people onto that rank tracker is I just open up their consultant record, and I'll make sure that they are ticked in the where is it? Ranking leadership on. Hang on, I might have to keep scrolling my window down. No. Tree. Rank tracker. Oh, I'm blind. If it was a dog, it would have bitten me. So if I wanted to add Jade to my rank tracker, I would just click that, and then she's added. And when I go back into that report, she'll be there. So that's really easy. And the other way is, the other way is to create a report and to on the new Backoffice, they've got this lovely lavender background and a lavender covered set of text here saying add new business group. So if we want to add a report here, we just go add new business group. And you can give the report a name. And so I could say, do a report on my stepdaughter Chelsea's tree. So I could go Chelsea tree. And use a custom advanced filter and change the focus ID to Chelsea's wellness advocate number 2224340. And then just to make sure it populates, do something that will apply to everybody. So basically pin rank equals, or pin rank minimum consultant. And so everybody is a consultant or above. And so you can see that selected 1,498 people. So that will then give me a report that lists out, that particular leg of our tree, my stepdaughter Chelsea's leg in our tree. And it'll give us that report in that standard format with the PV and the OV and the name and their rank. And I could just click add.
Hey, Yura, while we're waiting, we have a couple questions.
Yes.
Which filters do you like to use or watch when you're doing this? And what rank were you when you started using business groups?
I started using it from about silver onwards. I love my watch list, and I used until kind of after Diamond, I used the watch list probably, and I still go into it like really regularly, because it's showing you the PV and OV, and I can include everybody that I personally enrolled. So all the people who are my friends, and I want to look after them. I don't want them to miss commissions. My ranking leaders, all of their ranking leaders, and maybe key people in their tree that maybe aren't a ranking leader but who are active and they're just a builder, and we help support them. So we want to keep an eye on them, and I can just whiz my eye down that PV and make sure that there aren't any zeros there, because in the people I put on that watch list, it's mainly people that I know are looking to do commissions and that sort of thing, and so I don't want any of them missing their commissions. And I can also sort by OV by clicking on the column heading. This member groups is a bit rickety at times. So sometimes, particularly at busy times of the month, sometimes you can click on a column heading and it'll just shit itself. So you kind of got to go out and come back in and try it again. But be patient with it. It will get there eventually. So I can then sort by OV and look over 3,000 and see if there's anybody that doesn't have. So for example, one of the reports I've got here is the whole tree, and so I can look at the whole tree, and I can sort by OV, and then I can sort again the other way. And I can kind of scroll down and say, all right, well, here's 3,000. There shouldn't be 3,000 volume there and people not having PV, because they're going to earn pretty much their order back. So, I'd reach out to people and I'd say, oh, whose team is this person in? Whose team is that person in? Reach out to their leader and let them know, you might want to talk to her because she can start, getting commissions if she starts placing her 100-point order. And so, the zeros are a warning flag there. And look, there are those people that you'll tell them and they're not interested. And, c'est la vie. That's their right. But in terms of, go back. I mean, the kinds of things that I've had reports for are, our enrollees, so where the enroller number equals us, reports looking at people who are at a rank, reports looking where the PV is nil, reports that are based around LRP, and you can kind of set it and say, well, LRP more than 100, or no LRP, but meeting particular volume requirements. So there's lots of different kind of slices and dices you can do. I'd really recommend it, that once you kind of get to that silver level and you're getting a bit of a bigger team, that you need to look at more than just by scanning the tree. We might just jump into the graphical tree. We've got about 6 minutes left. One thing about the new graphical tree is that if you have something like a Mac and you create a wide window, the tree kind of disappears onto the purple background. So I don't know whether IT will be able to fix that, but if you're kind of looking at that's your problem, just narrow your window and then that forces the tree back down into your white section. Another warning for people is, and this is really only for the more senior ranks, but once you get to about blue diamond, it actually won't properly show your entire tree. So if I try and show 9 levels and update, it actually chops off the right-hand end of my tree. So the old Backoffice just can't cope with once you get that number of levels and that level of complexity. So, I'm going to scoot over right here. and I'll take this back to the number of levels that I know does correctly display for our tree, which is 6 levels. I'm assuming most of you have some understanding of using the graphical tree. It's a really useful tool, and it's there are days where I'll just come in here and I'll spend half an hour just scanning the tree and looking for opportunities and looking for, where are there people who are sitting above a high rank, who don't have a circle around them, or who don't even have a square, and maybe they're an account that hasn't ordered in greater than 12 months. And so maybe I can reach out to placements and say, hey, placements, can you delete that position so that the next person below who does have an LRP order in, like this one, bumps up onto this person's front line, and they can earn power of 3 instead of having an annoying square there. And one other thing about the information in the hover over. So when we hover over a person, it shows us the summary information, including, and I don't like the way it disappears in the new tree, but anyway. So it's showing us, one of the things it shows there is the last LRP date. That is very often wrong. If you actually want the true last LRP date, you actually have to click into the record. That's the last attempted LRP. So the system tries to run an LRP, and if the credit card isn't right or has expired or whatever, the system kind of records that there's an LRP date, and that's what it's showing in the hover over. But if we go into the Wellness Advocate information, which I'll do in a second, but before I do, I'm going to show you something else. We can see the real date. But this one here is something a lot of people don't realise, and it's something I didn't realise until a couple of years into the business, and it's really useful. So once you start to get a bigger team and you've got people you've enrolled who've enrolled people who've enrolled people, somebody can talk to you about a name, and mentor in a mentoring session, or because you've offered prizes or whatever, and you don't know who that person is. So you bring them up somehow, either in the graphical tree by typing the name in and bringing them up, but you don't know where they are in your tree because your tree is like massive. If you click on this little thing here to the left of the envelope, it will actually show you the path between them and you. So this is Stephen McKenzie, and it's showing me that he's under Joe O'Shaughnessy, who's under Sharon Sharkey, who's under Jade Sircom, who then is under us. So, and if you were 25 levels deep, it would show you 25 levels. So that's really, really helpful once your tree gets bigger and it's just a name and you've got no idea who they are. And even once it gets bigger, we enroll people ourselves. They're like, where do we put them? You remember where your builders are, but the people who just order and they're just kind of there, and it's like, where did we put them? But if you come into the Wellness Advocate information here, this is where you can see the last 3 months of your OV, of their OV, and you can see the last 3 months of their PV, and you can see the accurate last order date. So if you actually want to know what their last order date was, that's it. And sometimes it is the same as the hover over, and sometimes it isn't. So, but if you want to know for sure, come here. And it obviously shows you things like their enrolment date and their last paid rank and their highest rank, their pin rank. So we are at 8:59. I think I've showed you most of the bits that aren't the obvious bits, and that maybe might be new to some of you. Rochelle, is there any other questions that we've got that on issues I haven't covered?
No, it looks like you've mainly answered everyone's questions, even just as you were talking. So that was awesome. People loved it. Cool.
Well, thank you for showing up, guys. I hope that was helpful to you. Happy to do these again in the future if we have new team coming on, or if there was big demand of people who couldn't be here tonight, and if there's a desire to run it again. For my part, I'm happy. Thanks for coming. I hope that was helpful.
Thanks, Yura. That was amazing. It was wonderful. And everybody's just saying thank you here in all the comments.
Cool. If I'd had a bit more time, I would have walked you through my spreadsheet a little bit to show you the kind of information that I track in my spreadsheet. And look, maybe I'll do another session another night on keeping that data, because it is so important. I thought I was keeping all the data I'd need, and then when that slowdown happened in September 17, I found there are some more data I went looking for, and it's like, oh, bugger, that was a piece of data I wish I'd kept. And so now I've got about 18 months of data on that data, but I don't have the original all the way back. So, but it's helpful to capture that data, and I have actually made my my spreadsheet available on my blog page, which is connected to my .com. So if you go to europeauckland.com, my presentation from leadership is there, and my spreadsheet emptied out of all my data is also there. So if you want to give that if you want to start using that spreadsheet, or for those who have partners who are spreadsheet gurus and want to throw it at their partner, do that.
I'm going to give you a copy of the chat transcript just so you can see everything that's been said. Lots of people so grateful for you. Lots of people asking for a spreadsheet class, so maybe we can look at that. Yeah, I'm excited, and just a few people just wanting that the name of the tool for the exporting.
I think it's called Backoffice Toolkit, and if you go onto Facebook, the guy who's built it is Nathan Jass, and it's not expensive. It's like I think it's like $10 or $15 a month.
Okay.
And he's built some really great tools there, and they have finally been signed off by IT. He built the tool originally, and IT said, you built this tool. And he had to spend a while getting it approved, but it is approved now.
Thank you, Yura. That's amazing. We're also grateful for you.
You are very welcome.
All right, so I think we're going to end the call now. Yura, can you just stay on for a sec?
Sure.
And